I want to welcome all our distinguished guests, our trustees, our Board of Visitors members, our honorees, our friends, our colleagues and community members, and students who are here tonight. Welcome to the honorary degree dinner for the 50th commencement of UMass Boston. 50, that's pretty cool. And I'm delighted to be here. So last night, Karen and I had the pleasure of going to the honor-and dinner at that university on the other end of the Red Line. And we got there at about 7, and you can imagine I wasn't so sort of juiced up about getting into my tuxedo to show up over there when I knew all of this was ahead of me. And so we got there at 7, we schmoozed with the crowd, and at 8 o'clock we sat down for, or actually at 7:15 we sat down for dinner. It was 9:15, and Drew hadn't begun to introduce the honorary degree candidates. And so my thoughtful wife said, I think we should leave. And so we're not going to do that to you tonight because we have another early morning tomorrow. But I really do want to welcome you all here. So there are 3 folks I want to talk about quickly, do some introductions, then we'll eat, and do some more talking, and have a good night. So first, I want to welcome Marty Mann to being at dinner with us tonight. He's the president of the system. And just like sometimes it's not so easy to be the chancellor of UMass Boston, sometimes it's not so easy to be the president of the system. You have to make a lot of hard choices. There are a lot of complicated issues. There are a lot of schools in the system. And none of the schools are shrinking violets, and all are ambitious for their own success. And so sort of navigating that through, I've watched him do that. I joined only a year ago, or actually about a year and a half ago now. And despite all that we read and all that we hear and all that we talk about, I know, only because I'm on the other end of that phone call or on the other end of those meetings, that there's no one who is more committed to the success of our campus than Marty. And despite what you read in the papers and despite what you feel from different kinds of conversations that are around, and I know this is a complicated time, one should have confidence that the system, and particularly Marty, understand that the success of UMass Boston is what the success of the UMass system is about. He's on our side. He's an advocate for this school in a way that maybe a few other chancellors have been. We have a dorm today that's oversubscribed because of this guy. And we're out there trying to do a complicated deal at Bayside and doing all kinds of interesting things. And frankly, for better or worse, I wouldn't have been at UMass Boston other than Marty convincing me it was the right thing to do. So I'm delighted that you're here tonight. I'm glad that you decided to come to be with us today and be with us here tonight. He's a real part of our UMass Boston system, UMass Boston community. Thank you for what you do for the school. Really, thank you very much. And then I learned long ago, I've been at UMass Boston now for about 18 months, and the real sort of powerhouse person in my family is my wife. And so people sort of roll me out to different kinds of jobs and things, but it's really Karen who is the really accomplished person in our family. Having done so much in the business world for so many years, working in President Obama's cabinet, running the SBA, getting great teacher ratings, I understand, at Harvard Business School this year for our entrepreneurship course, writing a book on fintech. She's a hard person to keep up with. So this idea of retirement for me may be a very lonely event as she continues to do what she does. But as we've both sort of experienced UMass Boston, we've both understood why it was important for our family to get involved in all of this and to be here with you. And her support and the support of our 3 sons who, it's very weird when your sons get old enough to actually give you advice that you should be listening to. I didn't see this coming, but we have 3 boys, each of whom has this ability to call me up and say, what did they write about you in the Globe, and what did you do today? But it's with the support of this fantastic family, and she's just an unbelievably terrific leader in so many ways.
So let's have a round for the family.
That's right. Thank you. So I came to UMass Boston, as I said, a few months ago, number of months ago now, and they weren't the calmest times to come to the university. Candidly, many of you were very nice to me now, but weren't so eager to see me when I showed up. And so, but I'm delighted, actually, that we're all on the same team today and understand the importance of this university. It is in my bones. I've only been here a short time, but one can't help be just devoted and committed to the mission of this place. Jeff, you're going to see it tomorrow. It's vivid. It's an extraordinary place. And so, as we think about all of that we've gone through over this year, even before Mount Ida, even before the search, we've made a lot of very hard decisions this year. They've been really, really painful for lots of folks. But they were necessary. And if one looks at the school, one looks at a place with first-time enrollment up about 29%. We look at a place that has a balanced budget for this year and can be balanced next year if things go right. That's pretty remarkable. You look at a place where we have a solution to the garage problem, which was existential, but now isn't because we took about $100 million out of the cost of that project. We have a dorm that's oversubscribed, turning people away, which is actually an issue for us. We have more research funds on the campus than we've had maybe ever. We've got a Bayside project that is extremely complicated, but which promises to yield enormous resource to the university that will allow us to do amazing things in the future. So Jeff and I have a friend, and when I took my last job, and when I finished, he said to me, if this school were a stock, I'd buy it. Right? If UMass Boston were a stock, I would buy it today. I'm a believer. And so, with all that we've gone through, and the road was twisty and turned and had a lot of curves, we found ourselves in a position where we have a fabulous new leader who's coming to the campus. And so, as I thought about leaving, I was very worried because we've made a great deal of progress. It's always been a great place, but we've made a great deal of progress. But I was worried, I'll be honest. I was worried that we would fall back and that we wouldn't have the kind of leadership that would allow us to continue on the trajectory that we are on. And I am actually very confident of that. Believe me, I'm not a Pollyanna, but I am enormously optimistic about the school. So when Catherine Newman, who is here, agreed to step up and take the interim chancellorship and work at UMass Boston, we lucked out. I wouldn't say it was a direct path, but we lucked out. And so, Catherine, I want to personally thank you for taking on this role. I want to assure everyone in this room that we have a new leader at this campus who has all of the talent, all of the commitment, all the energy to make this place the great place that we all aspire for it to be. I'm entirely confident in knowing that as I step away, and I'm here to help, but as I step away, that this school, you have a leader, true leader who can work with all of you to make the place that we all want it to be. So Catherine, thank you for doing this. So Catherine is a person of enormous energy, right? So Catherine is a person of enormous energy. For those of you who know me, I've got some energy, right? You haven't seen anything yet. And so be ready, and I think it's all incredibly positive for the university. So the celebration tonight is an extension of our graduate commencement today. And I have to say, standing on that stage with everyone and looking out into that crowd, for a place that's had some bumps in the road over the last few weeks, the enthusiasm that we felt in that pavilion today was palpable. It felt like UMass Boston in the most positive way. And so tomorrow I look forward to another event that I hope will generate that same kind of enthusiasm because it's incredibly important. Ceremony matters. Ceremony matters. It builds a kind of sense of place. And we need that. And so I'm delighted that how things went today, and I want to thank everyone who was involved in organizing it, and thank everybody who participated. So we have a short speaking program tonight, and I want you to enjoy your dinner. And it's a pleasure to see so many close friends, people who have become close friends over this year and a half with me. So from our Board of Trustees, I want to welcome Mary Burns and Gray Mokowski. And where are they? They're here. There's Mary. There's Gray. So last year was Mary and I's first commencement. We did the graduate commencement together, and then we did the undergraduate commencement together. She looked at me and she said, you got to change this. Because it was like from here to eternity. We would still be there, actually. And so, but Mary really has been incredibly loyal and coming to all these events and really showing the kind of commitment our trustees have to this university. From our Board of Visitors, Charlie Desmond is here. And Arthur Maybett is there, and his wife Beverly is there. Thank you all for being here. These two guys are, you will learn, passionate in their support of our university. Okay, so Jim Brett is here. Where's Jim? Hold on. Where's Jim? I saw him. There he is. Jim Brett is here. He's president and CEO of the New England Council. And his wife, Patty, is also with us tonight. And Jim, you've been asking me about not being really interested in meeting me, but interested in getting together with Karen. She's right there. Okay, so, I get it. She's right there, and it's great that we were all be able to get in the same room together. I understand. Tricia Philippone is here with her daughter, who's graduating tomorrow, which is very cool. All right, so... So, your job is to find a job for this person in HR. That's what we're about. I've committed that I'm going to help, but I want you all to, many of you have businesses. She's pretty terrific, so I recommend her to you. Tricia and UMass Boston work closely together in all the complicated projects. We have hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate projects that are wrapping up. So I gave a talk to incoming first years this year. It's the only time I got a standing ovation at UMass Boston. And I said, all of the construction will be done in July. And I literally got a standing ovation. And so I know, and someone said to me today that the construction has just been this emotional burden. People just have to live through this construction site for year after year after year. And the great news is, at least for a while, we're done. And the place, it's too bad we're not out there tonight. It's beautiful here, but the campus really looks beautiful. And the work will be done in July. Now, another person in the room who is actually more delighted than we are to hear this is Steve Rothstein, who's the executive director of the JFK Foundation at the Kennedy Library. He's doing an amazing job opening access to this library and to all kinds of folks, and we're eager to become more important partners. It's been a little hard because there have been moats and walls and dirt that have separated us, and we've made it really difficult for people in many ways to be able to visit the library, given what's been going on our campus, but done soon. So it's terrific that you're here tonight and supporting us. And then, one of the things when you get to do these jobs, you get to meet really fun people, right? And so Christine Huber, where's Christine? Christine and I, she's over there. She's a great friend, connected to the place, went to school here, donor to the university, really cares about the university. I want to thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for being so kind to me over this year. She's a special person who really believes in our place, and I encourage, it's really impressive. Thank you. So a special thanks for all of your support. When we celebrate our 50th commencement ceremonies, we're really celebrating each and every one of you and all of the folks who've been connected to this great school. And as we say and still can say, it's the only student-centered urban public research university in Boston. and we're proud of that. So we're grateful to have Mary Burns from our board here. And Mary is not only a trustee, but she actually has a business that allows her to spend a lot of time with us. She is this remarkable business person. She's a managing partner of MLB Realty Trust, Chesapeake Outdoor, Splash Media Group, and Capital Advertising. What that all sort of boils down to is just know all those billboards that are out there? Mary has her on her iPhone. She has them, she's all connected. She has extensive experience in highway management as well as procurement of highway advertising. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Public Service, Administration of Criminal Justice, from another really fantastic school, the University of Massachusetts Lowell. And Mary has agreed to say a few words to us tonight representing the trustees. So let me welcome Mary.
Thank you, Chancellor Mills, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm honored to be here this evening to celebrate our distinguished honorary degree recipients. Former U.S. Congressman Barney Frank, American educator, social activist, and author Jeffrey Canada, and UMass Boston graduate Paul Anastas. Over here. Paul is widely known as the father of green chemistry and serves as the director of Yale University's Center for Green Chemistry and Green Engineering. Congratulations to all three of you. Your incredible accomplishments and the many challenges you faced and overcame on your journey serve as an inspiration to our students, and we thank you. This is truly an exciting time of year, a time that revitalizes us and reminds us why we do what we do. As a new generation of students heads out to leave their mark on their communities, the Commonwealth, and indeed the world, this time of year, more than any other, it becomes clear how a UMass education impacts and transforms lives. It's something I know from personal experience. UMass opened so many doors for me and created opportunities that wouldn't have existed otherwise, as it does for so many students. That's why the mission of UMass Boston is so important to me personally and to the entire Board of Trustees. UMass Boston is the most diverse campus in the region. It is the only public research university in the higher education capital of the world, Boston, Massachusetts. It serves a unique majority-minority population, many of whom, like me, are first-generation college students. It creates access and opportunity for students who too often have been denied both. UMass Boston is essential to Boston and to the entire Commonwealth. It is the urban gem of the UMass system, and I just want to state tonight that the Board of Trustees cares deeply about this institution and remains fully committed to its growth and success. We are actively working to secure the resources necessary to position the campus to thrive and fulfill its unique and important mission. I'm excited to see the changes already taking place, the new residence hall set to open this fall, the new facilities, and the state-of-the-art buildings like the Integrated Science Complex and University Hall. I'm grateful to Chancellor Mills and his team for the difficult and important work that they have been doing to return the campus to financial stability. And I look forward to keeping that momentum going and helping UMass Boston fulfill its incredible potential. I believe it has a bright future ahead of it. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Congratulations once again to the honorary degree recipients, Bonnie Frank, Jeffrey Canada, and Paul Anastas. And before I leave, I want to give a special shout out to Gray Mikowski, our student trustee. Gray has served this campus very well over the past year, and we're going to miss him on the board. And to Barry Mills, Chancellor, you have resurrected UMass Boston. We appreciate your leadership, we thank you, and we will always be lucky to have had you. Thank you.
So a brief word about Gray. Gray Mulkowski, who is here. One of the great joys that you sometimes forget, when things are really sort of complicated at UMass Boston, the great thing to do is just take a walk. Take a walk and talk to students. And then you feel better because you understand what the place is really about. So I'm a pretty unstructured guy, and Gray would sometimes just show up in my office and say, let's talk. And he was sort of surprised because I said, okay, let's talk. And we spent a lot of hours together talking about the university, talking about higher ed, talking about the world. And one of the things that I learned early on since I've been in the higher ed world, there's this bias by a lot of higher ed administrators that you need to talk to trustees and grown-ups. The fact of the matter is the grown-ups are actually the students. They're the people who can give you the best advice, the straightest advice, and sort of help you through whatever problems you might have, and Gray is one of those. So Gray, you've been a fantastic representative of the students, but you've also been a wonderful advisor to me, and I want to thank you. Thank you very, very much. So one last point before we get to food. This has been an incredible year, and there have been moments of that we're very, very proud of, and candidly, it was really hard. It's a really hard job. It's a really hard job, a lot of hard decisions that you wish you didn't have to make, but unfortunately you did. And so as I look around this room, and I'm not going to go person by person, but as I look around this room, there are people with whom I work closely, day in and day out, who are superb at what they do. They're devoted to the university, and they are a team. They're a team that works together. And we could not have accomplished anything that we've accomplished over this last year without the fabulous leadership team that works at this university. I'm enormously proud to have been part of this group. It's hard to leave. The hardest thing to leave is to leave these people. We've been in the trenches together for a year, literally in the trenches, trying to figure out solutions to really hard problems. And the imagination and determination and commitment that they brought to this job is something that I'll never forget, and the people in this room should never underestimate. And so it isn't really about me making hard decisions and taking all the burden. It's them out on the front lines, working really hard to try to see how UMass Boston can get itself financially stable so that we can unlock all of that academic and intellectual excellence that the place represents. And so to the people in this room, you know who you are. I want to thank you personally for all that you've done for me and for this university. I am only always a phone call away whenever anybody just wants to talk and schmooze. Catherine's the boss. But I'm happy whenever anybody wants to call and just schmooze and remember the old times. Because those old times will be times that we'll remember together. It's been a real honor to lead this university. I am a believer, and my optimism, I don't believe, is false optimism. I believe that this university is incredibly important, and tomorrow, if you come to the event, you'll see in those faces why this place is important. It's those people, those incredible students. The number of students I met who work 2 jobs, go to school, try to figure out how to navigate. Our biggest problem is having parking so they can get in and off on campus fast enough to get back to work. We have different kinds of problems than most colleges and universities have. It's an amazing place. And so to be able to be at this university and be a part of creating opportunity for those students and those graduate students and those scholars that are on our campus and staff who have devoted their life to making the place great, it's been a real honor. For 15 years younger, I'd probably hang out, but I'm not. You can't turn that clock back, and it's important to have leadership that will be committed to understanding how the place ought to be for the long term, and I know that Catherine can put it on that path. And so I leave with a great amount of confidence, but hard to believe in a bittersweet way that this is an incredible place. So let's have dinner, and we'll talk a little bit more about our honorarians. Here's from one of our honorarians tonight. Earlier today, we sent 1,253 graduate students really quickly out into the world to use their advanced degrees to improve our local global communities. Tomorrow, we look forward to celebrating another 2,733 students who've earned their undergraduate degrees. Many of whom are the first in their family to do so. And so it's an exciting time. So today we congratulate two of our most accomplished students. This year's winner of the John F. Kennedy Award for Academic Excellence is Chris Walks. Where's Chris? Yeah. Okay. Chris is a graduating senior who distinguished himself through his work as a peer mentor, from serving as the tutor coordinator for the Calderwood Writing Center to performing the student teaching at the Boston Public School, another course to college. He's graduating with honors with a BA in English and a minor in secondary education. After graduation, Chris will be attending Tufts University to obtain his master's in education, and he hopes one day to pursue a career as a professor, and he and I have been talking about getting a PhD. Right, so we're going to help him do that. So tomorrow, no pressure. There's only a few thousand people out there on the garden floor. LeBron is gone, but you'll be there. We look forward to hearing your remarks at the undergraduate ceremony. Congratulations. And his mom is right there. And then Bobby Ricketts, he's a pretty remarkable guy, who this afternoon at our graduate commencement ceremony gave an inspiring speech. Bobby graduated today with a master's degree in critical and creative thinking. He's a Boston native, graduated from Berklee School of Music in '81, and now lives in Copenhagen, Denmark. He's an international jazz artist, an arts envoy for the United States Department of State, an 8-time recipient of the Fulbright Hays Grant. He's made more than 30 visits to Africa to help launch activities and outreach programs that cater to young, aspiring musicians, and frequently travels across Europe to perform and deliver seminars and workshop classes in music performances. And I want to congratulate you, Bobby. It's a real accomplishment, a real statement about UMass Boston, but a real accomplishment about you. So thank you very much. Where's Bobby? There he is. Thank you, Bobby. I'd now like to acknowledge our extending faculty members and the 3 winners of their annual Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Teaching Scholarship and Service. Tomorrow we will announce this. The recipient of the Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Teaching is Professor Shoshana Ehrlich. Where is Shoshana? She's there. From the Department of Women's Sexuality and Gender Studies. The Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Scholarship goes this year to Professor Julie Nelson. Where's Julie? There's Julie. From the Department of Economics. And the co-recipients of the Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Service is Professor Ellen Douglas and Professor Paul Kirshen from the School of the Environment. And they're over there. Now, there's an embarrassing fact about me, and that is I belong to a cult that I have actually never been able to escape. That cult is located in Maine, and it's a place where I went to school, and there are 4 polar bears in the room tonight. Me, Jeff, Karen, who has an honorary degree, and Bettina. Where's Bettina? There she is, class of '80, from that place up in Maine. Bettina, thank you for being here tonight. It's great to meet you. I want to congratulate all of our faculty awardees and thank you for your commitment and dedication to your fields of study and to our students. It's a real tribute to our university that you're with us. Congressman Barney Frank, thank you for the great job you did today. You have not lost your fastball at all. I understand that you're eager to remember what you said, and so we're going to be able to give you a transcript of your thesis so that you can continue your work. Receiving today an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. We asked Congressman Frank to deliver our graduate commencement speech because, as it was evident today, he sets an extraordinary example for our students who chose to pursue their master's and doctorate degrees at a world-class institution of higher ed, at a public world-class institution of higher ed, that's committed to serving the common good. He served this Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a member of the House of Representatives for 32 years, sponsor of many bills that sought to expand economic opportunity and justice for poor and working-class Americans, as well as human rights for marginalized groups across the world. As chairman of the House Finance Committee, he co-authored the Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Acts, served as one of the Congress's first openly gay members. Representative Frank was a strong LGBTQ rights advocate, including same-sex marriage. Today was a vivid example of the way he continues to think about equality and opportunity and social justice, and it was really a pleasure, a real honor to be with you today. We're honored for your exemplary political career as a highly regarded and respected member of Congress, and for his advocacy of the rights of all kinds of folks in America, his work in combating homelessness, and his work in supporting environmental issues. We also share something that I only learned, that we both spend a lot of time in Maine. It's a great place, it nurtures the soul. So Congressman Frank, please allow us to acknowledge you again with a round of applause. Thank you for being here. Our next honorary degree recipient, this is a real moment for me. Jeffrey Canada has had the most impressive career as a leader and advocate for children and families in underserved communities. Tomorrow at our undergraduate ceremony, Jeff will deliver what I guarantee will be the most uplifting, inspiring speech and really turn the place upside down. He is a remarkable guy. He's been leading figure in the field of urban education, serving for many, many, many years as the inventor and then the leader and president and CEO of the Harlem Children's Zone. Coming from a modest background in a distressed South Bronx neighborhood, he was able to bring empathy, urgency, and the power of his intellect and ability to just get things done to one of the most troubled parts of America. He's been a leading figure in the field of urban education and regeneration for more than 30 years, and his block-by-block approach to combating poverty via intensive educational and social intervention has become a national model, inspiring initiatives like the federal government's Promise Initiatives program. So he earned his degree at the small college in Maine. I'm a lot older than he is. And then he went off and got a master's degree from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, moved back to New York, and began his life's work. In 2011, he was named to the Time 100 list of the most influential people in the world. In 2014, he was named one of Fortune's 50th greatest leaders in the world. In addition, he has served as co-chair of the Commission on Economic Opportunity. He was later appointed to the New York State's Governor's Council of Economic and Fiscal Advisors. He's an advisor and board member of several nonprofit organizations, as well as the author of Fist, Stick, Knife, Gun, A Personal History of Violence in America, as well as Reaching Up for Manhood, Transforming the Lives of Boys in America. He's written for a number of national publications, including the New York Times. He's featured in the documentary Waiting for Superman, and on 60 Minutes, Oprah, Anderson Cooper, Black America 2, newspapers across the nation. And in Whatever It Takes, journalist Paul Tuff's detailed look at his work in the Harlem Children's Zone. We asked Jeff to deliver our undergraduate commencement speech because he too sets an extraordinary example for everyone who will be there tomorrow, but particularly our students. We'll honor him tomorrow with an honorary degree of humane letters for his exemplary career as an educator, social activist, and author, for his lifetime of dedication and commitment to helping disadvantaged children for being an exemplary citizen. We've worked together for a lot of years. I think Jeff has this view that every student should succeed, and that institutions bear a responsibility for those students to succeed. And that's the institution's responsibility, and there are no excuses. And so as I led an institution where Jeff and I worked quite hard together, that's quite a burden. It's quite a burden. But together, we work to create opportunity for all kinds of students, but not nearly what he's done in New York City. He's an extraordinary guy. It's an enormous honor that Jeff has agreed to come here and be with us tomorrow and to become part of this UMass Boston family. I can say to you, Jeff, tomorrow, when you get a sense of what this place is about, you'll understand why I wanted you to come. Because it is an amazing institution that represents so much of what you care about. Thank you for being here. It's a real honor. Our next honorary degree and our featured speaker at tonight's program is a graduate of UMass Boston, Paul Anastas. He's being recognized for his significant accomplishments in the scientific community. Before I read his accomplishments, I met his daughters. And so if you want to talk about extraordinary accomplishments, these two young women are fantastic. And so it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being here tonight. Paul began his professional and scholarly endeavors after graduating from UMass Boston with a BS in chemistry in '84. He trained as a synthetic organic chemist. He received a PhD from Brandeis, and he worked as an industrial consultant. In '98, he co-published with his UMass Boston classmate, John Warner, the seminal work, Green Chemistry, Theory and Practice, which defined green chemistry and enumerated its 12 principles and is still used as a guide today. In addition to this work, he's widely published and has authored several books on topics relating to science through sustainability. His work in the science community is well noted in his previous roles. He was the Assistant Director for Environment in the White House of Science and Technology Policy from 1999 to 2004. He serves as an Assistant Administrator for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the agency Science Advisor from 2009 to 2012. In addition, he served as Director of the ACS Green Chemistry Institute in Washington from 2004 to 2006. He's the Heinz Professor in the Practice of Chemistry for Environment and Director of the Center for Green Chemistry and Green Engineering at Yale University. I thought everything was blue there, but okay. And he's an exemplar of dedication and achievement in leadership and scholarship. Earlier today, we honored him with an honorary degree of Doctor of Science for his significant contributions to and impact on the scientific community. And so tonight, Paul, is your opportunity to talk to us and give us your thoughts about it, what it means for you to become or renew your relationship to this great university. Paul Anastas.
Chancellor Mills, President Meehan, all my friends, faculty, words fail to describe the depth of my gratitude for this honorary degree. And that's saying something, because I have a pretty good vocabulary. I not only speak English, I speak chemistry. I speak bureaucratish. I speak. But my gratitude is enduring, unyielding, and as my good colleague David Cash said, he said, "You know, you're a beacon." I said, "Yes, I'm a beacon, and I'm a proud beacon," right? I have to start off with thanks. My family is indeed here, and I want to thank my mother-in-law, Shelley, and Sam, who's celebrating the anniversary of his 39th birthday tomorrow. Zimmerman. All things start not only with the love of my love of my life, my wife, Julie, who not only has there's no one that I respect more and nobody that I admire more, and nobody that I could ever love more. But you heard about my daughters. I have to tell you, as much as I respect everybody in this room, my real audience is no older than 7 and 10 years old. Kennedy and Akina are the inspiration for all I do, and my real audience will also not be born for centuries. Love you. So I'll strive for eloquence, but I'll only attain brevity, I think. But I just want to say a few words, just a few quick words. So I grew up about 5 miles from here, and we didn't have much. We didn't have much as a phrase that people who didn't have much fully understand, and you don't need to explain it to them. But I knew a few things. I knew that I was going to make something of myself. I knew that I was going to pull myself up by my bootstraps. And I knew that I was going to climb that ladder of success. So I came to UMass Boston. And UMass Boston saved me from me. You see, I was an idiot. Now, let me explain. I was top of my class. I had plenty of intelligence. The root of the word idiot in Greek, as Prime Minister Papandreou likes to remind us, the root is idios. Idios means a person concerned only with private matters, private gain, private aggrandizement, unconcerned with the public good. So why do I say that I was an idiot? Did you hear how often I use the word I in describing my intentions? I never knew that I had bootstraps. I never knew that somebody built and put that ladder for me to climb. I was concerned with the myth of the individual, the myth of individual accomplishment. And it was the transformation that started here at UMass Boston, where I looked around and I saw people who dedicated their professional lives, people like Bob Carter, who I met almost 40 years ago. It's my freshman chemistry professor. The people who weren't concerned about private gain or private aggrandizement, but yet transformed the lives of those who didn't have much. I will be indebted for that transformation. So my first message is don't be an idiot. We have enough of them. Let's send them places of power. Don't be an idiot. The only second thing that I really want to say is that I don't deserve this honor. Now, I'm not engaging in false modesty. With all deep respect and profound respect to the others who are being honored tonight and previously, I don't believe anyone deserves this honor. Let me explain what I mean. Aristotle said, dignity comes not from the possessing of honors, but from the deserving of honors. What he means is it's the acts themselves, it's the actions themselves that are what impart the dignity. To put it another way, there was a very famous singer during the 1970s who became iconic, and she was asked recently, how would you like to be remembered? And her reply was, why would I want to be remembered? I hope that some of my good works continue, but I have no desire, no need to be remembered. It's the acts. It's the actions. I'm going to suggest that we need to praise the verbs and not the proper nouns. We spend a lot of time looking at historical figures and venerating past giants of history. When we do that, we'll soon be disappointed. And it does the giants no good. Praise the good actions, praise the good deeds, praise the good works. It'll focus on what's important, and it will save future generations from renaming buildings and tearing down statues. Because after we venerate these historical figures, we'll find out that they're not the historical myth that we thought they were, but they were human, they were flawed, they had the same ugly prejudices, the same indiscretions, the same flaws that that we all do with falsehoods falling out of their closet full of skeletons. And so what we need to recognize is that it is the verbs. It is the actions. It's the actions of the people who dedicate their lives to transforming the students of UMass Boston. It is those actions that need to be praised. It is those actions, those verbs that need to be continued. And it is those actions which remind me that this honor that I'm receiving is not for me. This honor that I'm receiving is for a collection of actions that I was able to be a small part. And I am grateful that I was able to be a small part. And the reason that all started was because of the transformation that started at UMass Boston. Thank you for this great honor that I can never repay, can never put into words, but it will be with me for the rest of my life.
And so I want to thank you all for being here tonight. So President Meehan actually has hung out through this whole event. This is one busy guy. So I thought just before we ended, he doesn't know this is going to happen, but would you like to say something? Why not? Quickly.
I'll be quick. Thank you, Barry. First thing I want to say is, for all of Barry's, I've been asking him to stay another year for 6 months or so. But I want to say thank you to Barry Mills. Karen, thank you to you for all you've done for this institution. It is really true that you have made this place better for the next 50 years. And we thank you for that. I also want to thank my friend and my former colleague, Barney Frank. And so at the graduate commencement today, Barney got up and talked about all kinds of great things. But what I really loved, he talked about, it wasn't in his introduction, I remember, he was a member of the state legislature. And he made the point that when he was in the state legislature, UMass had the highest budget that it ever had. I went back to my office, because I had a few things to do before I came to this dinner, and I looked it up. When Barney Frank was in the House of Representatives, a lot of other folks that are here too, UMass Boston received nearly 90% of its budget from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Today, UMass Boston gets 24% of its budget from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So when we talk about the privatization of public higher education, well, you know what's interesting about it? I also took the time to factor in inflation. If you look at a UMass Boston education, since Barney was in the State House, and factor in inflation, which is reasonable, you factor in inflation, the cost of a UMass Boston education has not gone up. It's actually stayed about the same or gone down. What has shifted is who pays for it. When Barney and his colleagues were in the House of Representatives, the lion's share, almost 90%, was paid for by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And isn't that great for society? Isn't that great for the Commonwealth? That's what we should have. And over that period of time, because oftentimes people say, oh, the cost of faculty, the cost of education, the cost of this. If you factor in inflation, the cost hasn't gone up. It's shifted from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to students and their families. And political leadership in this state, and frankly, given what's happened around the country, have never been held accountable for it. So, Barney, I thank you for the comments that you made. I went back, I was inspired about it, and I thought about it. I knew Congressman Frank served in the state legislature, but we got to get back to a system and a society that values public research education. When I graduated from UMass Lowell, I paid for everything. 4 years. Paid for everything. Working nights, working weekends. We have to change the system, but I want to thank all of you and thank Barney. It's great to see Barney again, and he hasn't lost anything, and it was great to hear him today, but thanks to all of you very much, and we'll have a great day tomorrow. But the last point that I will make is that the best years of UMass Boston are ahead of us. Construction, as Barry mentioned, is going to be over in July. We may construct a few other buildings, I want you to know. One of them is a nursing building. Another thing we need to do is think about housing. Barry, and I appreciate Barry's comments about the residence halls that we've built, and I appreciate him acknowledging my role in that. And you know the reason why? We all know that students who live in residence halls with academic programming in them have a higher likelihood of academic success, higher graduation rates, higher retention rates if they live in housing. And the only minority-majority public university in New England doesn't have residence halls? That's a disgrace. So the first 1,000 beds is the first, but we're going to do 2,000 more beds. Thank you very much, and thanks for being here.
Okay, so you heard it here tonight, 2,000 beds. Take notes, 2,000 beds, 90% of our budget. It's all done. I might stay. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and being with us and participating in this great event. UMass Boston is a terrific place. If one looks at our mission and what we do and understands who we educate, and one looks around the educational landscape of the state of Massachusetts and beyond, there are very few schools in America who do what we do, who serve the students that we serve, and provide the quality of education that we provide at an affordable cost. It's a remarkable institution. We should all be very proud. And tomorrow, we'll celebrate with a whole lot of young people who are going to go off and do great things. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. See you tomorrow morning at the Garden, and look forward to celebrating. Thank you.